In every corner of the globe, the bones of forgotten civilizations lie buried beneath centuries of soil, sea, and silence. While we celebrate the grandeur of the pyramids and marvel at Machu Picchu, there are places, unexplained, untouched, and rarely spoken of, that challenge everything we think we know about our past. These are not the ruins in your history textbooks. These are ancient enigmas, places where reality starts to ripple at the edges and the line between myth and science begins to blur. Let the countdown begin. 10. Nan Madol, the floating city of stone. Off the remote coast of Pohnpei in Micronesia, Nan Madol emerges like a dream from the ocean, an eerie, almost mythic stone city resting on a coral reef. Spread across nearly 100 man-made islets, Nan Madol is often referred to as the Venice of the Pacific, but that nickname barely scratches the surface of its staggering uniqueness. What makes Nan Madol so mysterious is not just its scale, but the staggering feat of engineering it represents. Over 750,000 tons of prismatic basalt columns, some as long as 20 feet and weighing more than 50 tons, were somehow transported across treacherous terrain and open water without the benefit of wheels, cranes, or metal tools. Many of these stones came from quarries miles inland. How the ancient Sodelur dynasty, who ruled this region from around 1100 to 1600 AD, managed such a colossal feat remains an enduring riddle. Local legends speak of sorcerers flying the stones into place using chance and levitation. As fantastical as it sounds, modern archaeology still has no better explanation. The city itself was believed to be a political and religious hub reserved for the elite. Its eerie silence today feels almost like a warning. As sea levels rise, Nan Madol is slowly drowning, vanishing beneath the tides it once defied, just as its builders vanished into history without leaving a written word behind. 9. Shari Sukte, the burnt city with the first artificial eye. Lying forgotten for millennia beneath Iran's scorching Sistan desert, Shari Sukte, literally the burnt city, has slowly begun to reveal its secrets since its rediscovery in the 20th century. Dated to the early Bronze Age, around 3200 BCE, it thrived along ancient trade routes and featured remarkable urban planning, wide streets, advanced irrigation systems, and multi-story adobe houses. Yet it's not the city's layout that has baffled archaeologists the most. It's the unexpectedly advanced technology they found hidden in its dust. Among the more than 60,000 graves unearthed at the site was the skeleton of a woman who had been fitted with what is now considered the world's oldest artificial eye. Crafted from natural tar and covered in a delicate gold wire lattice, the prosthetic was not just functional, it was artistic, perhaps ceremonial. It even had tiny capillaries etched into the surface, mimicking the blood vessels of a real eye. The burnt city also boasts the earliest known examples of brain surgery, intricate ceramics, and what some believe to be the world's oldest backgammon board. How did such advanced craftsmanship arise in a culture that most textbooks barely mention? And more perplexingly, why did this entire civilization disappear around 1800 BCE without leaving behind a successor or written legacy? 8. Archaeum, the Russian city aligned with the stars. Hidden in the southern Ural steppes, Archaeum was unknown to the world until a Soviet archaeological survey stumbled upon its remains in 1987. What they discovered was not just a forgotten Bronze Age settlement, but a near-perfect example of prehistoric urban planning that defied expectations. The city's structure, two concentric circles fortified with walls, with streets radiating out like a cosmic map, mirrored celestial patterns and seasonal alignments with uncanny precision. Often compared to Stonehenge, Archaeum may be even older and more complex. Some scholars have linked its astronomical layout to Indo-Iranian cosmology, suggesting that its builders had a deep understanding of the stars and used the city itself as a tool to observe solstices and equinoxes. The precision of this alignment, especially for a society believed to lack advanced mathematics, raises more questions than it answers. Despite growing interest, Archaeum remains shrouded in mystery. The people who built it, sometimes associated with the Sintashta culture, left no written records and their language and customs are lost. Within a few centuries, Archaeum was mysteriously abandoned, possibly burned like many settlements of its time. Whether it was destroyed by enemies, climate, or something stranger remains unclear. What is certain is this: the ruins of Archaeum hint at a lost wisdom, one that saw the heavens not just as inspiration, but as a blueprint. 7. Castel del Monte, the geometric fortress with a hidden code. Unlike any other medieval structure, Castel del Monte in southern Italy is an architectural anomaly. Built by Emperor Frederick II in the 13th century, it's a mathematically precise octagon, surrounded by octagonal towers, designed using mysterious proportions that hint at sacred geometry, Islamic influence, and astronomical knowledge. It contains no moat, no defensive fortifications, and no records of battles fought there. Was it a palace? A temple? An enormous astrological calendar? No one knows, and perhaps no one ever will. 6. Derinkuyu, the underground city that shouldn't exist. Beneath the soft volcanic soil of Cappadocia, Turkey, lies one of the most mind-bending architectural enigmas in human history. Derinkuyu, a sprawling subterranean metropolis that plunges over 280 feet into the earth. With 18 known levels and miles of interconnected tunnels, it could house up to 20,000 people, complete with food storage, livestock stables, kitchens, wells, wine cellars, and even schools. Ingenious ventilation shafts kept fresh air circulating throughout the depths, and massive stone doors could be rolled into place to seal off entire corridors in case of invasion. Officially, historians attribute Derinkuyu to early Christians escaping Roman persecution in the first few centuries AD. But the deeper you go, the stranger the story becomes. Some of the lower chambers show signs of much older construction, raising the possibility that Derinkuyu was built atop an even more ancient network, one that might date back thousands of years before Christ. What threat could possibly have driven people to live deep underground, generation after generation? Was it war, natural disaster, or something more cataclysmic? And perhaps most importantly, 5. The secret temple of Chandari, a lost script in plain sight. Hidden in the dense heart of India's Madhya Pradesh, the medieval city of Chandari is known for its majestic forts and Mughal-era architecture. But within the Chandari fort complex lies a structure that refuses to fit into any timeline. A temple that predates its surroundings by centuries, if not millennia. The temple's architecture diverges drastically from the known Hindu, Jain, or Islamic styles of the region. More puzzling are the symbols etched into its walls, glyphs, pictographs, and characters unlike anything in known Indian scripts, including Brahmi, Sanskrit, or even ancient tribal dialects. Despite extensive studies, no expert has been able to decode the meaning of these markings, let alone identify their origin. Even more mysterious is the building's astronomical precision. Its narrow windows and openings align perfectly with solar equinoxes and full moons, suggesting it may have functioned as an ancient observatory, calendar, or spiritual timekeeper. But who were these people with a forgotten language and advanced knowledge of astronomy? And why did they vanish without leaving their story behind? The temple remains relatively unknown, buried in a tangle of local folklore, bureaucratic neglect, and academic hesitation. But for those who stand within its shadow, there's an overwhelming sense that this structure was built by a civilization we've never truly met. 4. The stone circle beneath Lake Michigan, America's sunken secret. In 2007, a routine sonar scan of Lake Michigan's floor near Traverse City revealed something that shouldn't have been there. A perfectly circular arrangement of stones, reminiscent of Stonehenge. One stone bore the unmistakable carving of a mastodon, an animal that went extinct more than 10,000 years ago, long before the first known civilization in the Americas. If authentic, the site could radically upend everything we think we know about North American prehistory. It suggests that an organized, intelligent culture capable of symbolic art in megalithic construction existed in the Great Lakes region during the last ice age. Yet despite its potential importance, few have studied it. Why the silence? Some blame the difficulty of underwater archaeology in cold, deep, sediment-heavy waters. Others whisper about the academic reluctance to acknowledge evidence that challenges established timelines. Could this circle be a sacred ceremonial site, a prehistoric calendar, or the tip of a submerged civilization waiting to be rediscovered? What's chilling is not just the age of the structure, but how deliberately forgotten it feels. 3. Pumapunku, the city that should be impossible. At 13,000 feet above sea level in Bolivia lies Pumapunku, a shattered site that might be the most enigmatic in the Americas. Huge diorite stones were carved with machine-like precision, featuring right angles and interlocking pieces with tolerances tighter than modern Lego bricks. Some blocks weigh over 100 tons, yet there's no evidence of metal tools, no written language, and no clear identity of the builders. The stones look less like ruins and more like remnants of technology. Second, Rapa Iti, the lesser-known island with impossible fortresses. Most people know Easter Island. Few have heard of its sister, Rapa Iti. Tucked away in the South Pacific, it harbors cyclopean stone fortresses called Pa. Massive walls built on razor-sharp ridges without mortar. The stones fit so tightly that even a knife blade can't slide between them. Local oral traditions say the builders used the breath of the gods to lift the stones. Whether metaphor or misunderstood history, the technique used has never been replicated. First, Göbekli Tepe, the site that rewrote civilization. Buried for 10,000 years and only unearthed in the 1990s, Göbekli Tepe stunned the world. Located in southeastern Turkey, this complex of massive stone pillars, some 20 feet tall, features intricate carvings of animals, symbols, and human figures. It predates agriculture, writing, and the wheel. Its builders were supposed to be primitive hunter-gatherers. Instead, they built the world's first known temple, and then mysteriously, they buried it. Not abandoned, buried on purpose. Why would a civilization hide its greatest achievement? And how many more are still buried beneath our feet? Each of these structures leaves behind more questions than answers. Footprints of intelligence that shouldn't have existed, timelines that refuse to align. These civilizations were not primitive. They were brilliant, precise, and in some ways more advanced than we'd like to believe. The deeper we dig, the more the official story of human history starts to look like a rough draft. One thing is certain, we are not the pinnacle of human achievement. We are the descendants of mysteries we have yet to solve.